Welcome back, Zwifters. I hope race 3 was full of success and finishing points, or at least it didn't suck too much. We're diving into the final race of round 1 in the Zwift Racing League, the Jarvis Seaside Sprint. Strap in, this is going to be a great recon video. I'm going to get into the course, take a look at those segment details, discuss strategies, tactics, fatigue points, and breakaway possibilities. I'm also going to recommend bikes, and lastly, I'll suggest a couple of workouts you can focus on this week to help sharpen your sword, as well as some pre-race nutrition ideas, which just might give you the extra punch you need to end round 1 in glory. So stick around and let's get into it. Now, race 4 might look suspiciously like fun, but don't be fooled, this is the most technical and challenging race of the round. It's the second points race of round 1, which means it's less about where you finish and more about how many banners you can cross like your life depends on it. But I know you've got this. But before we get too much further into this, I just want to say thanks for the likes, the comments, and the subs. I hope my race recon videos have been helpful, and I'm looking forward to round 2. And if there's an update to this video because I missed something, you can find a link to it up here. All right, let's pull this course apart. But before I start this, I just want to point out that wtrl has configured the power-ups specifically for each arch that you go through. You can see them here on screen and the order they appear in. Okay, categories A and B get 3 laps, while C and D only 2. The route is short and sharp, and you'll need speed, power, timing, and above all, confidence. You're going to be hitting 3 key segments each lap. That's either 6 or 9 chances to score depending on your category, and 1 extra at the very end for good measure. And one more detail to lock in, you get a bucket of specific power-ups awarded at each banner. I'll talk about which ones and when I think you should use them later in the video. Out of the pens, and everyone knows this start. You turn right where you'll pick up your Aero Boost power-up as you pass under the Downtown Watopian start banner, before hitting that slow drag out of downtown Watopia and turning left into the S's. This is the lead-in, and it's approximately 2.8 k's long. The rollers might stretch the field here, which is something to watch out for as we approach the JWB Forward Sprint and the first of the sprint point segments. Now, the JWB Forward Sprint is approximately 200 meters long, flat and pure speed. The lead-in is smooth tarmac, but it is technical with that bump just before it, so expect a long wind-up. Positioning is everything. If you are towards the back as you approach this pinch, write this one off and focus on staying in contact with the front group. But really, this sprint begins several hundred meters before the start line when the road kicks up at the end of the S's for one final short punch. Put some power in here to stay with the front half of the group. You'll want to be in a good position for the short descent, which follows, because this descent is where you build up speed for the actual sprint, and that begins at the start of the bridge. Hanging around 5 or 10 wheels back is not a bad place to be as you begin to crest this. For those looking for a longer effort, the climb before the descent can be also used as a launch point for a solo attack if you're trying to be first across the sprint line. But be warned, you'll have to keep your watts high for at least 45 to 60 seconds to hold off the charging pack, who will have the advantage of a strong draft. I would fire the aero as you hit the left-hand bend coming down the other side of that bump, a bit before the bridge. That's the lead-in finished, and this banner represents the start and finish of this race. After this, you'll get a short recovery opportunity as you pass by the Italian villas before turning left and heading down the dirty suppressor. This is a short dirt section. I wouldn't worry too much here, so this is a good opportunity to sit in mid-pack and continue to recover. As you approach the Volcano, the race will stay left and head out to Jarvis Island. Anyway, at the 2.7k mark, you'll head over to Jarvis Island and the Jarvis Sprint reverse segment at the 3 kilometer mark. The Jarvis reverse sprint is a slightly uphill drag around 200 meters long. This one hurts more than it should on paper. The kicker is the lead-in. You'll already be working before the sprint banner even comes into view. Save a gear or two for the ramp as you veer left. You should have the draft boost power up ready for this segment, which is a 40-second power up. My unpopular opinion here is to hold the draft boost power up and fire it when you hit the sprint beacon, not before. Others might say hit it as you turn left at the 2.7k mark, but here is the thing. The draft boost only works if you're in a pack, and with foul points being the predominant goal here, more than likely you'll end up on or near the front, and a lot of the power up will be wasted. Of course, if you aren't contending this sprint, then use the power up as you turn left to stay with that accelerating front group. For those contending the sprint, hit the power up as you reach the beacon. You'll get a bit of a benefit depending on which wheel you're sitting on, but the real gold will come after because the Jarvis KOM reverse starts only 200 meters after the sprint banner as the road tends right. Let that draft boost help carry some speed into this for the next 30 or so seconds, and you might be able to open an unexpected gap with the front, discouraging other riders from bridging for fear of blowing up. The Jarvis KOM reverse beacon sits on the right at the start of the bridge. The KOM is roughly 1.3 kilometers and averages about 3%, and it looks like regret. This is the segment that crushes souls and smells like wet carpet. It's not alpine levels of suffering, but after a heavy sprint, you might need a bucket. The first section is approximately 550 meters long. As you hit the left-hander, the road will flatten out for about 150 meters, enough for you to sit up for a sec and ask WTF, before hitting the second part of the climb, which is also about 550 meters long. The difference between the two parts of this climb is that the kick at the end of the second part will feel like it comes from an angry donkey, a donkey punch if you will. You'll have a featherweight power up available to you for this segment. If you are struggling, hit that feather halfway up the first part of this climb. It will get you to that left-hander and then you can reassess your situation. But if you're feeling okay, wait until the donkey punch at the end of the second part as the road begins to bend right and stomp the top. Through this banner, you'll pick up the burrito power up and a vague sense of the doom to come. There is a short descent and another little pinch at the top of the KOM before descending down the other side of the KOM at the 5.6k mark. Use the burrito over the top of the KOM whilst tired riders are looking to recover. My thoughts are to fire this at the start of that second little kicker before the descent starts, because you're going to pick up another power up as you pass the Jarvis lap arch at the 7.1 kilometer mark, which will be the aero. Even though racers will pass yet another arch, the Volcano arch at the 9 kilometer mark, I would hold on to the aero for the JWB Sprint as you come back around. The Ghost is next to useless here for most riders. And if you're the kind of rider that can make the Ghost work as an attack, then you know what you're doing and you probably don't need to be watching this video anyway. Riders may try to test the front through the Volcano for weaknesses or to capitalize on some riders' inattention, but more than likely the yeses will be the next spot the front will try and distance themselves before hitting the JWB Sprint segment for the second time. Those riders that held the aero from the Jarvis lap arch will be locked and loaded as they come into this segment. Like before, hit that power up just as the ride turns left and claim those foul points. In the description, I've included a link to my new and improved race course notes, including an exclusive power-up map, which not only identifies the start of key segments, but includes a bunch of helpful information as well. Drop me a thumbs up in the comments if they've helped you. At the JWB Sprint banner, you'll receive your draft boost power-up as we finish lap 1 and head into lap 2. And it's back down the dirty suppressor and out to Jarvis Island again. At the 15.1k mark, you'll turn left and begin lining up for the second run at the Jarvis Sprint reverse segment. With your draft boost in your back pocket, look to start winding up and fire that draft boost as you pass the brown shed on your left and go full gas. Like lap 1, I think the mistake lots of riders will make is to start this sprint much too early using the draft boost. Hitting the front, the draft boost stops making sense and you're faced with a much longer sprint than is necessary. So watch the wheels ahead of you and resist the urge to fire your power up too early. Through this sprint banner, you'll collect the featherweight power up. With the way this climb is situated, I think the majority of the riders will get the most benefit of this power up during the first part of the climb at this stage of the race. But those that are feeling super strong might hold on to this power up and use it towards the top with the gradient reaching 10%, just as I mentioned in lap 1. Over the top, we received the burrito power up through the Jarvis KOM reverse arch. And like lap 1, I think using this as you hit that second bump before the descent has merit. However, with the race finishing soon for C and D, expect the heavy hitters to hold on to the burrito and fire it as they come into, especially if they kick through this section and keep the power on. With the last of the 2.5 kilometers, shred the competition and what little of your soul you still have left, and then hit the aero for the last time as you round the JWB Sprint bend, the finish line, and glory. For A's and B's, your job isn't done yet. You'll pick up the draft boost one last time as you race through the JWB Sprint banner, and this is going to make that Jarvis Sprint segment very interesting, assuming you have the legs for it. Again, much like laps 1 and 2, you can either fire this early and hope that there's a group to draft off of, or wait and hope there's a group to draft as you hit the start of the climb for the last time. You will collect the featherweight power up through the sprint arch before starting the climb for the final time. Depending on how desperate you are, hitting this early will help maintain speed coming in, or you could wait for the donkey punch and crush the top. Sit in tight, everyone. We're almost there. Now through the Jarvis KOM reverse arch, you collect the burrito power up. I think at this stage, I would fire the burrito on the flat section heading back towards the Volcano before the Jarvis lap banner. Because if you're hurting, you better make sure everyone else is hurting too. But also so you can pick up the last aero power up through the Jarvis lap banner as well. Ignore the Volcano arch where you'll receive the ghost power up, but for the remaining beasts among you who want to be different, fire your aero just before the Volcano arch, hit the gas and collect your ghost power up. Drift back a bit as you enter the S's so no one can see you execute your sneaky plan. Fire your ghost power up well before that last bump, because the ghost stops working 400 meters before the finish, regardless of when you fired it. And this could be an epic solo attack for the finish, at which point it might be too late for anyone to do anything about it. But keep in mind that there will be a bunch of arrows screaming up behind you as they reach the JWB segment, where eyeballs will be popping out and legs falling off. So best of luck. Just know that you'll be peeling those bib shorts off with a spatula after all of this. Before we discuss points, let's quickly review the FAL and FTS scoring system. Every segment gives out first across the line, FAL, and faster through segment, FTS points. But here's the kicker. FAL is worth something like 80% more than FTS. Translation, if you want to make a difference for your team, you go early, you go hard, and you fight for that line. FTS points are nice to haves, but they're not race winners. So unless you're a monster who can thread the needle, your focus should be squarely on FAL. But if you have been dropped, there isn't anything stopping you from taking a shot at the title for each segment. And don't forget to keep fighting until the line for those finishing points. Team tactics. This is going to be a difficult race for riders and even more difficult for captains to manage. The biggest challenge I see, in my opinion, is the back-to-back placement of the Jarvis Sprint and the Jarvis KOM Reverse segments. Hey, if you record or stream your races and you did something you felt pretty proud of in a ZRL race, smashed a segment, stomped the finish, or just helped a teammate, send me a link with a timestamp. I'd love to include it as a highlight reel at the end of my recons. Sprinters coming through that sprint segment will be gassed as they head into the climb. Climbers and diesels may be hanging on by the skin of their teeth, and having to keep the power on for another 2 to 4 minutes is going to have a lot of racers questioning their reality. However, and this is a big however, this could be the perfect time to orchestrate a race-winning breakaway. Lap 1 is perfect for this, as riders will already be softened up with 2 sprints under their belt. A strong team or a couple of teams from the same club working together could keep that power on with one massive effort over the KOM. There is a short recovery point immediately after the KOM, followed by a false flat before the descent starts, and this might be just enough for a group to go clear for the remaining laps. Looking at individual riders, sprinters, this is your playground. The bridge sprint is yours to dominate, and if you can hold form, the reverse sprint too. Just manage your effort on the climb so you don't get dropped before payday. Climbers, the reverse climb is your moment. Ride as efficiently as possible by staying towards the back half of the group. The sprinters will drag you forward until you reach the climb and then hit it hard. Splinter the pack and force the sprinters into the red zone. Even if you don't score foul, you might set your teammates up by thinning the field. Diesels, you're the glue. Your job is to sit steady, deliver teammates into position, and then close gaps after sprints. If a break goes, you're the engine that drags it back. But don't expect the glory. You're playing chess while others are playing checkers. Additionally, C and D teams could carve up the segments and nominate 3 riders for the first lap segments and the other 3 riders for the second lap segments. The challenge, though, will be making sure that those not contending the segments stay in contact with, not on, the front. The same goes for the A and B teams, but you're going to have to dig a bit deeper with that third lap. Fatigue points and breakaway possibilities. Here's where things get messy. Fatigue stacks up fast. Every sprint effort chips away at your legs, and by the second lap, you'll be feeling it. Expect late lap chaos, especially after the reverse climb. As I mentioned earlier, that's where a breakaway can stick as they roll over the top, the chasers hesitate, and suddenly the gap's too big to close. If you're going to gamble on a break, that's your launch window. Just don't go solo. In ZRL, lone wolves usually end up howling at the moon or the mirror after the race. Maximize your use of draft as you come down the descent and head towards the volcano. Recovery is key here. Take on water and maybe a cheeky gel before you find yourself at the JWB Sprint again. Bike choice. Bike choices are simple this week. Go aero road setup. The segments are short, the climbs aren't long enough for a pure climbing rig, and with so much sprinting on tap, you want aero efficiency above all. Stage 0 bikes. I'd go with the Canyon Aero Road 2024, the Pinarello Dogmare FA, or the S-Works Venge with deep or disc wheels. Stage 5 bikes. I'm a sucker for the S-Works Tarmac SL8. I think it's the best bike for sprinting and climbing. Pair this with the DT Swiss die-cut ARC 1100 discs for a winning combination. But the fastest Stage 5 aero bike is the Venge with the DT Swiss discs, or maybe the Envy SES 4.5 Pros, if you aren't worried too much about the KOM. Check out Zwift Insider's list of Stage 0 and Stage 5 frames for a complete list of all bikes and their flat and climbing benefits. A link to his website is in the description below. Training and workout suggestions. My workout suggestions for this week. To prepare for this course, focus on the repeatable high power efforts. The 30-30s to simulate repeated sprints such as the 30-30 anaerobic number 1, and VO2 max intervals such as the VO2 max 4x3 ramps for the reverse climb. And a good over and under session to get used to recovering at threshold after dumping a big sprint. Up and over could be a good one here. Oh, and I just want to tell you about this awesome t-shirt that I'm wearing and the fantastic cause that it supports. Tour de Cure works hard to raise money to help fund cancer research. Their website link is in the description below. They have both t-shirts and hoodies in a bunch of sizes, from climbers to sprinters and diesels. And all money raised goes directly to curing cancer. So do yourself a favor and send me an email. Thanks. So that's race 4, Jarvis Seaside Sprint. 3 segments a lap, FAL is king, nothing to save you, and plenty of ways to blow up early. Race smart, score points where you can, and above all, remember, you're lapping everyone on the couch. Good luck out there. Smash that like button if this recon helps. Subscribe for more recons and let me know in the comments, what's your strategy? Sprinting, climbing, or just trying to stay alive? And I'll see you in round 2. The power up specifically, okay, point segments for that short descent which follows. Fuck. As you pass by the Italian village. Anyway, at the 2.7, fuck, come on, Nathan, you're held. This climb is really 2 short climbs with the front will try and distance themselves. With the last of the, there's a group to drast off of. Or you could wake for the donkey punch at the end. Or you could wake. Fuck, I said it again. Speed coming in. No, I keep fucking that up. Last time. Sitting tight, everyone. We're all, if you want to make a difference, climbers and diesel, fuck, come on, Nathan. Climbers. The reverse climb is your, so that's race 3. Fuck.